Alright. It's just gonna be you on video. So
Okay.
why don't you just start with who you are and your daughter and what your daughter's been going through.
Alright, I'm Daniel Lawrence, and this is Madison Rose Lawrence. Started when Jenny, my late wife, was pregnant with her. We had troubles with her pregnancy as Jenny had low amniotic fluids and she was a tiny woman to begin with. She was only 5'2" according to her driver's license. We got referred to Great Falls gynecologist, or whatever you call them, doctors that take care of babies. And basically she had a few abnormalities due to the low amniotic fluids. The left kidney had never shown up on a prenatal ultrasound. She had holes in her heart, and they were worried that she would never live outside the womb. So the suggestion from Great Falls was to abort during the second trimester, and we were given 2 weeks to think it over. During the 2 weeks, me and Jenny had thought it over consistently, and we asked both mine and Jenny's parents. My parents said to let God have a decision on it, and Jenny's parents said to listen to the doctors, and me and Jenny were anti-abortion, so we let go and let God have it. And the doctor in Great Falls was skeptical of our decision. Shortly after that, we were transferred to Missoula for care to Dr. Hardy with Seattle Children's Hospital. After the first doctor appointment with Dr. Hardy, he confirmed that we could have the baby, but we'd have to have it in Missoula. And her due date was July 7th, but as that was Tadra, Jenny's daughter's birthday, as she had 2 children out of wedlock before me and Jenny were married, we decided to try to have Madison as a C-section early, as no matter what, the baby was going to be a C-section. But Madison decided that she wanted to come early on the 20th of June. She was born on the 20th of June. She went into labor at 3-something in the morning. It was about 3:20. About 5:20 in the morning, she was born at 6 pounds, 4 ounces. At about 9:20, preps were made to start getting Madison ready for transport to Missoula's NICU. I brought the kids down, Trenton and Tadra down here to Butte to spend time with Grandma and Grandpa while I went to Missoula to be with Madison, and Jenny was stuck in the Helena hospital. Jenny wasn't able to join us till the next day. But they did find her kidney that day in the hospital.
That's good.
It was very small. She spent the first 7 days of her life in the NICU. And then we got to meet Dr. Hardy shortly after that, who became Madison's nephrologist, who explained to us that she has hypodysplatic kidney disorder, which is pretty much just 2 small kidneys. They're misshapen, oblong, and they don't work properly due to the fact. Over the last almost 2.5 years, she'll be 3 this year, so almost 3 years, her kidneys have progressed to grow. They're function at 50% now, and they are growing, which is rare for a kid with such a disease. I'm really proud of her. They don't know how she's doing so well and growing. They can't contribute too much. I really contribute to prayer.
And so what else has been going on with her?
She does have the 3 holes in her heart, 2 in the lower chamber and 1 in the upper chamber, that have almost healed to a non-concerning level. Dr. Hardy just wants to keep an eye on her and see her every 3 to 6 months, just to be safe. She did have a Mickey button installed when she was about 6 months old, that was removed. Well, we were authorized to remove it in February of 2015, and we had to go back to Seattle in March of 2015, because after removing it, the hole would not close up after a month, and we found out that the Mickey button that has been sitting unused for over a year was too small and had caused the lining to expand inside her stomach, which is causing the acid problem.
So, what did you guys do after that?
Well, we went to Seattle. They had to sew several layers of stitches, and it's actually healing pretty good. She's been very active since then.
That's good.
She's getting back to herself. She's getting back to being a little child now, and she just plays with her brother Jack, my son, her half brother. She's really gritting to be a great kid. She starts school August 31st here in Butte.
Oh, wow.
She's going to be going to school with Tammy Foley at the alternative school with the special needs classes. She is under other disability, because she needs to be able to go use the bathroom and drink water frequently. And due to the loss of her mother during the car accident, they think that might cause some emotional distress during school, that they feel that she might need to be looked out after too.
So, what happened with the car accident?
Car accident happened on August 20th, 2013. Me and my late wife were going to celebrate our second honeymoon. We just visited the little Bighorn battlefield, and we were going up to Missoula to eat, and a gentleman turned in front of us on the East Fork River turnoff to Sola, and caused us to roll the vehicle. The engine took out my knee, the tranny took out my ankle, the steering column pinned my left arm, breaking it in 3 places. The dash and the roof of the car smashed my late wife's head in, and that's what pinned her from being flown out of the car.
Oh.
We were left unattended for an undisclosed amount of time until I came to and started to scream for help as I watched my late wife pass away before my eyes. The paramedics and the rescue team asked that I be flown first, but I wouldn't let them take me without taking her first, because I knew if there was any way to save her, the only way would be to take her first.
Yeah.
Once they got her out, they were able to get me out shortly afterwards. They transported me to Hamilton Hospital first to try to get some blood into me, as I was suffering from anemia from blood loss from all the fractures. At that point, they got me to life flight to Missoula, St. Pat's, where I underwent 6 surgeries. There was some disputes that went on at the hospital that really cannot be talked about.
Of course.
Due to legal issues. But that's when I found out that Jenny was 5 weeks pregnant at the time of the accident. But she was an organ donor, and due to the fact that it was confirmed that she had passed away at the scene of the accident and was brought back at the hospital, that her organs could be donated, which was a grateful experience, as a 34-year-old man got her right kidney, a 4-year-old girl got her left kidney, a 60-year-old woman got her liver, and her heart tissue and other various parts were donated to science.
So, three people?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm eternally grateful for that. I really am.
It's probably a silver lining, I guess, on top of everything that's happened. And then, let's see. Where did your health problems start?
My health problem started in an accident when I was a minor. I was being transported due to some legal issues as a juvenile, and I ended up with epilepsy. I had it under control due to illegal actions that caused me to being incarcerated, and I had it under control until late last year when I was put on another medication for my PTSD that developed from this accident. And within 3 weeks of taking the PTSD medication, I started experiencing my epilepsy again. And when confronting the medications to try to subside the epilepsy again, it has just progressed to make things worse, unfortunately.
And it doesn't look like there's much help for that, or?
Unfortunately, no. The only thing that seems to have helped was the medicinal marijuana, but according to my last attorney, there will never be any help for me as long as I'm a medical marijuana patient.
So the only thing that's helping you is medical marijuana, and because you use it, you can't get help from anyone else.
Correct.
That's horrible. I mean, wow. What do you do in that kind of a situation? I mean, if the only thing that can help you, you're not allowed to do, that's not okay. Especially since, technically, if it's medicinal, it's legal here, right? I mean...
It is legal.
It is.
But due to the fact that I have mental disorders surrounded by the epilepsy and pain from the from the damage from the accident, medicinal marijuana isn't allowed to treat certain mental diseases, such as PTSD, due to the fact that it's not approved for military men and women to use it for PTSD. Therefore, civilians aren't allowed to use it for their PTSD yet either.
Wow. This one is way too complicated on the medical end. I mean, you'd think that if it helps someone that you should be able to do it, you know. And especially since...
It helps, and it helps with my tremors that I experience all the time. I'm in a constant tremor, and I have grandma seizures to where most of the time I can't even go outside on bright days. If it's too hot, I can go into a seizure. If it's too cold, I go into seizures.
So Montana's kind of a hard place to live.
Oh yeah. Anywhere really is.
Yeah?
Most of the time I'm stuck inside a house with closed windows.
Oh, man.
My life has altered ever since this accident. I've cut down my communications with all my friends. I'm down to where I only associate with 3 people just because of the fact that the 3 people I associate with just come to my house. I don't have to go try to find them to talk to them. They have...
Understandable. I mean, if it's hard enough just to leave with everything else, and then, I mean...
I go to my doctor's appointments and I come back and I'm in pain. And I tell my doctors this and they feel bad for me, but there's nothing they can do. I went to an orthopedic surgeon yesterday about my knee that was blown out. He roughly put it back together and then tells me that, well, the only thing I can do to help you reduce the pain since you refused narcotic pain medication would be to replace it or to take your knee, and you're too young and they won't allow me to do it, whoever they are.
So, that's a challenge. I mean, and they say the pain's not going to go away?
I'll always be in pain for the rest of my life. Nothing will ever make the pain fully go away.
Wow.
And narcotic pain medications are just not good for me because up until 2005 I had a meth addict. I was a meth addict. And I don't want to go back to that because I would lose contact with my son. I know the state would immediately pull my daughter, and I'm not willing to lose my daughter and my son because of an addiction. And they mean more to me than drugs and alcohol will ever mean to me. If I have to give up weed to keep my kids, I'll give up weed to keep my kids, even if it's a medicinal marijuana license. I'm prescribed it by a doctor, and if that's what it would take to keep my kids, I'll do it. I don't care. My kids mean more to me than my pain. I neglected my health care. I lived through pain just to make sure my daughter's medical was up to date. I rushed her to Seattle because the X-ray technicians up here and the ultrasound technicians up here cannot do a proper ultrasound on her, so that they had to rush her down there to make sure that she was actually doing okay, which put us further into debt than we needed to be. And then a month later we had to go right back just because of the fact that when we took the Mickey button out on their request, it was too small to even be in there in the first place, and it caused the lining problem.
Wow.
I understand that Butte kind of lacks the children medical field because none of the people want to come here to work because there really is no money in Butte. But they got to understand that because there's no money in Butte, there really is no way to get children back and forth to Seattle on a dime, on a drop of a dime. You can't just call somebody and say, hey, you need to have your kid here tomorrow, because these tests are not proven to be accurate. Her ultrasound was the same for 3 years in a row. How can you get the same reading 3 years in a row, but yet when you go to Seattle, it's complete 180 from what they're getting here in Montana?
So for 3 years they had the same thing, and then you go down to Seattle and it's like
180. It was like night and day.
Wow.
According to the ultrasound technician here, her kidneys had not grown. We went to Seattle and they had grown. The left one is actually matched up to the right one. They're white, but they're both working properly, and it's like, well, what?
Wow.
And then you got the doctors that say they want to help, and the only doctor I've seen to be able to want to help, even in my predicament, I had to transfer my health care out of Butte just to get help. I had to go all the way to Dillon just to find a doctor that wants to try to even work with me to try to get my medical under control.
Wow.
All the doctors seem to want to do here with my medical is shove medication down my throat, and it's like medications don't help. I had brain trauma that should have been treated immediately, and once they started messing with my psychological state of mind in that hospital, they should immediately red flagged everything instead of pushing me out that door. Granted, I'll admit, yes, I was trying to get home to my kids. They might have been my stepkids in the eyes of the court, but they are my kids.